Right, so if you bear witness to my last video, I told y'all I've been studying the Kabbalah, the Tree of Life, right? Okay, so after we left off on the last one from Chokma. Chokma, basically I told y'all that represent like the database of God. You know, up here is the great nothing nothingness, where everything comes from is everything in nothing at the same time. It's called Ain so far. And then you get Ketha, the crown, the top of the top. But outside of that came Chokma. Chokma is the database, right? It has everything, every archetype of everything that can exist down here in the physical or in any of these other spheres exist in there. But it's just jumbled up data. If you really just want to break down what that is, just jumbled up data. And it's the first light that came into existence outside of God, of all gods, of no gods. And Chokma represents that. So then you get over here to the next one, which I left out, y'all. It's called Bina. It's Bina, all right? Bina represents understanding. And it makes sense to me in this sense that Bina represents understanding, because after you get all this jumbled up data, nothing you can do with it, right? It's wise because it has all the data. It represents wisdom. You see, hold up, Chokma represents wisdom, but it's got all the wisdom, but it's nothing to do with it. So you get all the wisdom, you have to get understanding. So you get all the data on your computer in your database. The next level would be to understand it. So when you understand it, you have to do things with it. So you have to sift out what needs to be done with it, what can't be done with it. If it's useful, is it not useful? So Bina represents what? Understanding. Insight, discernment. So it has insight on wisdom, right? It has insight on wisdom. Okay, so what does that mean in that case? See, now Bina will represent the mother. I told y'all in the last one, Chokma will represent the father. And if you can see, on the right pillar is positive. Male represents positive. Female represents negative. Not negative as in the sense of bad. That's the way we were taught in school. That's not what that means. Feminine negativity means receptive. It takes in, just like the vagina takes in sperm, and just like the penis ejects sperm. That's the natural order of the masculine and feminine. It's not just man and woman. We talking about masculine and feminine. We looking at a holistic level, not that little boy, little girl shit, okay? So now we at Bina, right? Bina represents understanding, like I said, and receptive. But what does Bina do? Bina holds in check. She checks the man. The feminine energy checks the male energy. Come on, this shit should sound like something you heard before, right? Checks the feminine, checks the masculine energy, because the masculine energy likes to expand. Nigga just like to whip his dick out everywhere. You know what I'm saying? I'm using terms of what that we can relate to in a regular everyday life. You see what I'm saying? Because this all plays down to here, to Malkuth, the earth, the physical body, the physical earth, right? So, Bina is the highest cipher on the pillar of judgment. See, this is the pillar of judgment right here. The left pillar is the pillar of severity, judgment, right? And it's the feminine. I already said that, didn't I? And it also, Bina also represents the divine mother of all creation. So she got the information from over here. Now she got understanding of the information. She can create with it. You see what I'm saying? Just like the body when a woman has a baby. She got the information from the sperm. Now she can create with it. You see what I'm going with it? So that's the first triad. Bina, you know what I'm saying? She gives birth to the second triad. It's another triangle. See, this one points up. Fire. This one points down. Looks like it represents water to me, if you understand, as above, so below the triangles, in sacred geometry, or whatever the fuck it is. But okay, so, and she also creates, like I said, she creates balance in between these two, right? In between all three of them together. And outside of that, she creates, boom, she creates Chesed. Okay, now let's see what Chesed is. Now we in the second triad, right? We going, and this one is called, some call it, I read it in this book that I'm reading. It's called the Ram of the Soul, right? Ram of the Soul. So Chesed now is in the middle, and it's also masculine. And it looks like on this paper it represents Jupiter. Okay, so, but what does it represent though? It represents love, mercy, Hold on, let me get my notes up here so y'all can see it. It represents love, mercy, grace, kindness. And it's also located in the center of the pillar. And the center of the pillar, of the right pillar, is what? Mercy. Mercy. To give mercy. Alright? But it's also in the middle. Like I'm telling y'all, that's going to be a big deal to pay attention to these ones that's in the middle. Gabriel and Chesed. If I'm saying it right, that's not even important. Just as long as we understand what the fuck we doing. It's one thing to have a lot of information, but do you have what they call understanding? Bina. You got to have understanding of what you're reading, be able to break this shit down in regular everyday life, right? So now we got Chesed, who represents mercy and kindness, right? And it's located in the middle. So, and it's also sometimes called greatness. Greatness. Like, that's the greatest thing, to be able to have mercy, or everything can be thrown off. But look, let's check this out. And why is that? Because you come over here to Gabriel. Gabriel represents what? Severity, justice, and strength. So look, check this out. These two gotta be able to keep each other in order. Because now we're in the middle. We talking about balance for the whole tree. We talking about balance for the whole tree. All right. So we get over here, and Gabriel is a feminine energy, which means she's receptive, which means she's contractual, which means she puts things into place, takes what don't need to be taken out, and bring things into place and contracts them to keep it. You know what happens when a woman has she's contracting with the child, you know what I'm saying? Bringing shit in for the shit to be able to be pushed out. She finna have a child. She finna have a birth. And we're gonna get to what Bina is actually, or Gabriel is actually going to birth, which is gonna be down here. Remember, we're doing a triangle. This is a triangle, all right? So if we get into what Gabriel does, she represents power, strength, and justice, just like Mayat. If you understand Mayat, she has the scales. Or just like when you go to court, you see Athena represented with she's blindfolded with scales. Like, she ain't worried about, it ain't nothing about perception. It's about what it is or what it ain't. Is it balanced or not? So she's going to create balance, right? She's going to create balance, okay? And with that balance, she creates control. She puts out limits. It's a limit on that. It can't be too much of Chesed, because Chesed is love and mercy and grace. And it also represents expansion. If you know about Jupiter, Jupiter represents expansion. So Jupiter has to be put in check by who? Mars. Okay, let's get it, my friend. I'm not that good with astrology and all that, but I know very little. But the little that I do know helped me to understand this tree. And it's also Gabriel is also in a center pillar of what? What's the center pillar? Judgment, severity. Boom. So you starting to get what these columns, every one of them got some of the same thing. Mercy over here, severity over here. Mercy and judgment. Mercy and judgment. This whole thing is about discernment and compassion and love. You know what I'm saying? Let's get to it. And mercy, same thing. So Chesed and Gabriel are the checks and balances of the whole universe. The whole thing right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, all these right here. It's the checks and balances, which represents what? Law. That's what we deal with, right? We deal with law. When we study in law, we talking about checks and balances. That's what our whole system is set up off of. Supposed to be. The court system is supposed to be, right? Okay. And what they end up doing, because you got to understand, this is to understand the mind of God. Okay, this whole tree is to understand the mind of God, to tap into the mind of God, right? And this is the mental aspects or personalities or personas of God represented by a tree. So here we go. So what that means, if they checks and balances of the universe, checks and balances of God, and they represent both One represents the extremes, the high, all the way to the very highest extreme of love and mercy, and all the way to the highest extreme of justice and judgment, right? And these two sides basically represent a divine personality of God. You know what I'm saying? The love and mercy of God, and also the grace. I mean, in the judgment and limitation. You know, limiting, contracting, or judgment of God. Okay, so when these two are in balance, guess what they do? They have a child. Boom. What is that called? Let's get a little closer. The sun. The sun. You see what I'm saying? Now, who do we call the sun? We know who we call the son. We call him the son of God, right? But we're going to go a little bit deeper than that. So, but you got to understand, when these two, now listen, they are needed for each other. Can't be one without the other, or it would be complete chaos. Not chaos in the occult sense, but chaos in the sense that we know down here on earth, right? So when Gabriel, aka judgment, is not softened by aka chesed, love, when the feminine is not softened and put into her soft era by the man, that's what we talking about nowadays, the soft era nowadays. Guess what? Gabriel destroyed, she basically threatened, this energy basically threatens to knock all this shit over. Fuck all this shit, fuck everything, I'm destroying life. So these two play a grand role with keeping each other in balance. That's the whole thing of the masculine and the feminine energy down here on earth, right? Let me zoom out some. That's the whole balance of this whole masculine and feminine thing on earth, right? We play checks and balances to each other, because if Jupiter can't keep expanding too much love and mercy and kindness, this shit'll be out of balance, right? Or Chesed, it'll be out of balance. Or if you get over here to Mars, it can't be too much judgment and penalizing or contracting shit, because if it keeps contracting shit, then it's gonna contract shit and close. Then we both won't have shit. You see what I'm saying? The divine feminine will end all this shit, then we both won't have shit. Won't shit exist. The marriage won't exist. Life won't exist. The son won't exist. It won't be nothing. So she also keeps his ass in check with, hey, you being too motherfucking nice, friend, or you being too free with all your shit, without you being too merciful out here, nigga. You gotta you better put a cap on that shit, nigga. You did what I'm saying? And that's where we going with that. Okay, so, okay, give me a second. Yeah, so those limitations have to be set, you know what I'm saying, to create a balance between the two. All right. Yeah, like I said, if they didn't keep each other in check, nothing would be, you know what I'm saying, you wouldn't have the sun. And here we go with the sun. It's called Tiferet. 1, 2, 3. Mother, father, son. The son. Jesus, right? You got Jesus, and he's representing not just he as a physical person, because that's not real, right? But we talking about the aspect of Tiferet, or Tiferet. It depends on where you're reading from. People give it a different pronunciation, right? So this is the sun. Okay, so these two get together. So what are these two? Mercy, love, and kindness, and severity, justice, and strength get together, and what do they create? They have a baby, and that baby is called Tifereth. Tifereth represents beauty, not beauty in this form of, oh my God, look at Beyonce, she's beautiful, but beauty in effect of harmonizing, like when a whole bunch of black folks get together and they have a picnic and it's just beautiful. Nobody got shot, nobody got hurt, everybody in love and joy, happiness and peace, dancing, a little drinking, a little smoking, everybody just loving each other. Beauty, balance, harmony. Oh, because what? Tifereth, or the Christ, or the Son, S-U-N or S-O-N, sits in the middle pillar. The middle pillar represents what? Balance. So this motherfucker right here brings balance to these two, which means he actually, and these two bring balance to the whole tree, which actually means he brings balance to the whole tree itself. and why you think they say you can't get to the only way to God. The only way to God is through me, the Son. God damn it, come on, y'all, let's get it. And he sits in the middle pillar, right? And he represents compassion. He's actually the mediator between his father and his mother, right? He actually mediates, which means what? Brings balance and compassion between the two. Okay? The opposite represents what we may call heaven, the Son, the King, and the Holy One, or Christ. Christ consciousness is what that will be representing. Christ consciousness, right? So, and we're going to pull out in the book what they talk about in the Zohar. The Zohar is a book that was written about the Kabbalah. So the Jewish mysticism, or the Hebrew mysticism. Okay, I may get hit for that one because I'm not actually sure, because I know it's different between Hebrew and Jew, right? But we'll get to that. Okay, so in the Zohar, this is what it talks about. So if you are aware, you know have been multiple Christs that exist. It's a book called The 16 Crucified Christs that have existed. The thing about it, we are here. So we all have the ability to get to what they call Christ, the Son. Everybody can get to the Son. All right? Everybody can get to the Son. This is what you got to understand when you're reading that Bible. It means so much more than an actual human being. You can't, human being, you just go through. You become the Christ by putting in the work, but we'll get there. Those are the other sephras that we'll actually go to. So, what it says right here, let's get a little closer, see if we get a word. And the Zohar describes Tiferet, which we talking about, is the Christ pillar in the middle, who keep balance between these two, and actually he's the balance between the whole fucking tree, from the top to the bottom, from the highest level of God all the way down to earth, hell, Malkuth, right? The physical, the illusion, the Maya. Okay, it says another passage of Zohar desires Tiferet as the Son, and it reads, the name of his son, question mark. Oh, y'all ain't got to say question mark. Y'all see it. Israel is his name, as it is written. My firstborn son, Israel. All the keys of faith hang from Israel. All the keys of faith hang from Israel. All right. All the keys of faith hang from Israel. Father and mother have crowned him and blessed him with countless crowns. Who did I tell you the father and mother was? So mercy, love, and kindness, severity, justice, and strength have gave him the crown, which was beauty, harmony, right? So I told y'all who mother and father is, right? And they have gave him the crown. He has been crowned. And also, let's go back and look at this. Kether is known as the crown. Okay. He has been crowned with what? Judgment and compassion. Judgment for one who deserves judgment. Compassion for one who deserves compassion. All the blessings of above and below belong to the Son. All the blessings of above. We ain't gonna get to that. That's a whole nother story. All the blessings up above belong to the Son. Okay? All that shit belongs to the Son. Now, what does it say? The Son is not earthly Israel, right? But it's divine archetype, divine structure of what Israel, the Son, or Tippereth, or the Christ is. Why? Because there have been multiple Christs. It even says it's here. So, Moses is a representation of the Christ, right? What does it say? But it's divine archetype, the central Sifra. All these right here are called Sifra. The central Sifra called beauty of Israel, Tiferet. All right. The Zohar speaks of certain individuals who have become one with Tiferet. It says Moses, the blessed Holy One. It says Moses, the blessed Holy One, never departed from Shekinah. Moses never departed from Shekinah. What does Shekinah mean? Malkuth. What does Malkuth mean? The physical, earth. So the physical body. So he never parted from his physical body. And then what? He rose up to Tifra, which means he rose up to Christ level. He rose up to Christ consciousness. He went through whatever process he needed to go through and rose up to the divine Tifra. In Moses and Shekinah, the divine mate of Tifra. So that means Christ is supposed to be connected with Malkuth, the physical body or the physical earth. You see what I'm saying? It's supposed to. Hold up. And what it say? They were actually united in marriage. I ain't got to read all that. But, so, and you know it's not just one, right? Because you have multiple representations of what Christ is. I mean, you have multiple, like I said, it's got a book called, I forgot who the author, but the 16 Crucified Christ. You got a Christ in the Hindu religion, right? Which I believe is Krishna, right? And then you got Buddha, right? You got Buddha. Buddha is a Christ figure. Then you got what? The shit that scares everybody, that everybody thinks is the damn devil. Boom. Baphomet. All he represents is all of that shit right there we just talked about. Love, above and below. Above, you see the hand pointing to above. And then you see the one pointing to below. Boom. Malkuth. As above, so below. And what? Through the Christ. The sun. You see that? Boom. The sun. Alright. Then you got the wings. Right? And then you got the balance between the masculine and feminine. He obviously is a masculine, what's the name? And then you got the breasts that represent the feminine. You got the feminine side and you have the masculine side. And then you got the penis going up with the feminine and the masculine. And then you got the Kundalini serpent energy. The riser of the Kundalini serpent energy. Right? And then he's sitting where? On Malkuth. If you pay attention to this is the same fucking shit. Pay attention. If you can read this, what I'm saying, you got to have discernment and be able to tell what you're looking at when you're dealing with the occult. All right? Okay. So, that's me on the second triad, which is Chesed, Gabriel, and the Christ. Chesed, expansion, love, mercy, kindness. Gabriel is severity, justice, and strength. She limits shit, he expands shit. And they balance each other out. And when they balanced out, they create a child. The child is called the Son, the Tiferet, which represents harmony, peace, love, beauty, compassion. Judgment, he judges, and he gives compassion. So he takes the aspects of his mother and his father. He judges he or she judges those who needs to be judged, and gives compassion to what needs to be compassion. What needs compassion. And you do that within self. You don't go out and try to judge people. And no, nigga, that's not your job. You need to be doing that within yourself. Self-evaluation. Certain people are at the Christ level of consciousness or entering into it. Let's get it. It's the God.